welcome into Saturday Better in Green Live. We have a massive slate of college basketball. It's a little nice because the last couple of days have sucked for whatever reason. And again, I should be the head of one of these leagues, either the NBA or the NHL. Not like anyone really cares about the NBA, but NFL's done. College football has been done for a while. Why do we have the All-Star break of both sports occurring at the same time? I know it doesn't really matter, but you get all these viewers from the NFL coming to try to find new sports, and we have one or two games a day for the next 15 days. It's just ridiculous. Anyways, it's been a pretty low low week of sports, but we are back today with college basketball, including the Iron Bowl, if that's what you want to call it. The number one team in the country, Auburn, against the number two team in the country, Alabama, face off today in college basketball. Very under the radar game. No one's really talking about it. And I'm super excited to watch that game. We also have a Big Ten matchup, Wisconsin, number 16 against number 7 Purdue. We have number 6 Houston against number 13 Arizona. We have number 15 Kentucky against Texas. We have number 22 Mississippi State against number 19 Mississippi. We have Michigan State against Illinois. Full slate of college basketball. So we're really excited to dive into that. We also have the Four Nations NHL. Like I said, it's the All-Star break. The NFL or the NHL is a smart organization, unlike the NBA, and they have decided to make their All-Star break entertaining. So we have the Four Nations, that is United States, Canada, Sweden, and Finland facing off. So today is day 2 or day 3 technically of the pool play. And the big game tonight, obviously, is I was going to say Michigan, USA versus Canada. So that's at 8:30 Eastern time. That's probably going to be what most people are going to be tuning in tonight. And then there's a couple all-star stuff going on. Another dunk contest, skills contest, 3-point contest, and whatever else the NBA is going to throw at us that no one's going to watch is also tonight. And then PGA is live as well. At the Genesis Invitational, if that's something you also watch. So pretty good day in sports. Like I said, it's been slow. But Ethan, welcome. How are you feeling? I know it's a lot going on compared to the last couple of days. How are you doing trying to figure out what bets to place and how many bets to place across the whole board today?
Yeah, well, you nailed it with NHL and NBA. I mean, it's like Dumb and Dumber. Putting the All-Star breaks on the same weekend. To be honest, though, I'm pretty relieved. No secret to anybody, it's been a really rough year in every single sport. So typically when the All-Star breaks hit, I'm bummed. I'm ready to keep going, but it's been really bad. I think I need this break. So I'm actually pretty content with those being off. I've really enjoyed the 2 Four Nations games so far. I've actioned in both today. So that's going to be great. Like you said, a loaded college basketball slate, although I'm not in love with any game on the board. I'm being very, very cautious for the rest of the month here in college basketball because it's just been a struggle. Yeah, a UFC event that I know, I believe Ben had an article come out on. Looking forward to betting some UFC, watching some UFC today, especially with, not as many sports on. It kind of clears up a TV there. PGA, like you mentioned, great event. And then me and about 5 other people in the world are pretty excited for the Daytona 500 tomorrow. So I'll mention some things on that for you by the end. But yeah, really good day of sports, good weekend of sports. Yeah, NBA All-Star game should be interesting. I never really watched that, but maybe I will tonight. We'll see.
Yeah, it's the NBA is a whole different breed. I started betting NBA earlier this week, back when they were actually playing games. Went up big on Monday, completely terrible Tuesday, Wednesday, and I think I didn't bet it on Thursday. But yeah, kind of done with the NBA. I can't hit a bet. I was doing player props, which was pretty fun, and then missed on every single prop like for the last 10. So I'm probably gonna stay away from the NBA. I might have a dunk contest bet. Just because I think there's a lot of value tonight. But like I said, there's other bigger and better things going on, including college basketball. So let's get into the college basketball slate, if that's what you wanted to start with.
Yeah.
We have games tipping off at noon, but not the greatest of games. I believe the first decent game is at noon, but it's Arkansas and Texas A&M. I think Clemson and Florida State are playing as well. I have currently locked in 3 bets in college basketball. One is the big game, Auburn and Alabama. I have a bet in that game. And I have 2 other games. one I really hate, but a lot of people are on it, and then one um, I don't really know why I'm on it, but I am. But let's start. Sorry, let's just go through the slate here. Like I said, the big games are a little later this afternoon. But do you have anything or thinking of anything in Arkansas A&M, Clemson, and Florida State? I have two leans in both.
I'll let you start. I haven't locked in any bets. Um, you know, we do the show for viewers, but we also do it for ourselves to kind of pick each other's brains here. So, um, that's why I was looking forward to getting on here today because I have not locked in any bets in college basketball. Looking forward to kind of hearing what you have to say and see if some of your angles are lining up with what I'm seeing. So I'll let you start on those two.
Yeah. Yeah, Arkansas at A&M. I'm leaning Arkansas on the spread here. I believe it's 7.5. Don't know if I'm going to get quite there. Texas A&M is number 8 right now. Arkansas obviously unranked. Um, I don't know. I'm seeing money coming in on Arkansas. I'm seeing a couple guys that I follow taking Arkansas here, so that's kind of what's pushing me there. A&M has won 4 straight games. A&M has a ranked Mississippi State on deck. I don't know if I'm going to get there, but I think if you're going to bet, Arkansas has Auburn on deck. I don't know. For whatever reason, there's money coming in on Arkansas, so that's a little intriguing to me. Ken Pom has that game 73-65, so an 8-point spread in favor of A&M. So probably won't bet that game. And then that second one, Clemson and Florida State. This line opened at -3.5 for Clemson, which I thought was low. It kind of got back up to -4.5. I'm seeing now. Um, I still kind of want to take Florida State here. I, I don't know. Clemson off of 2 massive wins against Duke and then North Carolina. Florida State is much better than the shit they were last year in the last couple of years. So I think it's a good spot for Florida State to maybe catch Clemson off of 2 very big wins against Duke and North Carolina, games they usually don't win in years past. And I think it just might be a little too much to go into a tough Florida State team and win on the road there. So I lean Florida State plus the points, and that's probably my favorite out of those two at the noon slate.
Yeah, so well, I've kind of mentioned this a few times. I'm just gonna mention it again, but I'm really struggling this year with the conference realignment, and it just all hit me this morning that there's not nearly as many repeat games throughout the year now, since there's so many teams in the conference. And I think you and I were both on Villanova on Tuesday, I believe, or Wednesday, whatever day that was, when it was a revenge spot. They had lost. I think they were coming off a win. They had a team on deck that they had already beaten. St. John's had a big team on deck that they had lost to. It was just a perfect spot for Villanova, and I'm not seeing that nearly as much in the SEC, the ACC, the Big Ten, just because there's not as many revenge games, if you will. So that kind of hit me this morning. Why maybe it's been tougher to bet college basketball. I also, just for the most part, I don't really look at the ACC anymore. I just think it's we do look at those look ahead spots, the letdown spots, and the conference just is not good enough for me to feel like any of these teams have letdown or look ahead spots because it's not good. I heard actually earlier this week that I think South Carolina, who is dead last, I believe, in the SEC, would be like third or fourth in the ACC according to Ken Pom. So it's just not a conference I'm super excited about. So I would lean Florida State, but I don't really look into the ACC, so I'll just pass on that one. I also do like Arkansas plus the points, and yeah, my fear is the Auburn game on deck, but I just don't really think they're 11th in the conference right now. They don't really have any time to be looking ahead into games. They need to win as many as they can right now. A&M kind of in a little bit of a flat spot. They've won 4 straight, had a nice road win against Missouri, and then a home win against Georgia, where they won comfortably. And then two ranked games on deck. 4 of their next 5 are ranked, including Auburn, Florida, Tennessee. So kind of a gauntlet there. They might be in more of a look ahead spot as they sit third currently in the SEC, still with a chance to somehow with a chance to pull off the winning that conference. So I would lean Arkansas. I think they're better than what their record shows, but I don't think I'll get there either. Sorry, that was a long
No,
rant
you're
to get.
good. um, Speaking of the realignment, did you see that SEC announcer have some trouble understanding conference play?
Mm-mm.
He was like, "Yeah, the SEC before conference play was like 100 and I'm making up a number, but like 157 and 24 on the record. Then as soon as conference play starts, they're
Oh,
82 and 82."
yes.
He's like, "They like it's just grueling. Like no one can win a game." I was like, "You understand? they one team loses and one team wins each
Right.
conference game. So yes,
Right.
it's going to be 80. It's like saying the Civil War is our most deadly war. Yeah, no shit. Every casualty was an American. So,
Right.
um, but yeah, I
I
think
did
just
see
like
that.
the 18 person conferences or 18 team conferences. I'm not sure what that's what the Big Ten is. I'm not sure how many schools are in the SEC. 16 maybe. Um, but yeah, these mega conferences are kind of screwing with everyone's
It's tough.
um, especially in college basketball when you play teams. And it's kind of and I knew it was going to be like the professional sports and having these big conferences, but I didn't notice it as much in football just because they play once a week. But like teams that go and play UCLA and USC or Oregon and Washington are taking like weekend trips, and it just seems like that's like professional sports. You go out there, you stay there for 5 days,
Right.
um, and that's just I didn't notice in football, but it's if you play USC, you're also going to play UCLA 3 days later, so you're just going to stay out there. I don't know how these kids are getting schoolwork done. I don't think they really care. Um, but yeah, it's so that's kind of what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
That reminds me of professional sports,
Yeah.
which is interesting. Um,
It's kind of drawing me back in at this time of the year to um like the West Coast Conference, the Mountain West, the Big East, just because there was no change in those conferences, so it's still what we're used to. So
right.
I'm trying to find value in those conferences. I haven't for today, but um, yeah, the realignment's hard to navigate. I think.
Yeah, and yeah, the SEC I'm pretty sure is like 7 teams in the top 10. It's just I don't know what you do with that.
Right.
Which is we're going to get into it shortly here, but it makes it pretty hard to tell who's good and who's just had a good schedule or easy schedule so far. Wisconsin and Purdue is our next decent game up. Again, stop me if you want to talk or see any games that you like. This is again a ranked matchup in the Big Ten. Wisconsin is number 16. Purdue is number 7. Purdue coming off a loss to my boys in blue. Probably should have won that game. Michigan got lucky with a lot of officiating calls there. Um, and Wisconsin's off of 3 straight wins. God, I don't know here. I mean, the obvious thought process is Purdue on the bounce back at home. 5.5. Wisconsin's also not fantastic on the road. I'm probably not going to bet this game unless I'm super convinced by something you say.
You're not gonna be. Um, I would lean Purdue. I just don't like the Purdue as Michigan State on deck, just because maybe that's more of a rivalry to me recently than it is. It probably is because when they had Zach Edey, they always beat Michigan State. I always thought State would come out and win, and they just never did. Yeah, I think Purdue is probably the right side. I'm not going to bet it, but Wisconsin, I'm not fully bought into them. They haven't really beat anybody. I mean, out of conference, they had a nice win against Arizona, but Arizona sucked early in the year. They lost to Michigan. They lost to Illinois, both unranked at the time, both better now. I mean, really, I'm struggling to find a single win on this in conference play on this schedule that's impressive. Iowa, Rutgers, Minnesota, Ohio State, USC lost to UCLA, Nebraska lost to Maryland, Northwestern, IU, Iowa. So there's not much there for me on Wisconsin. I'm not bought into them, so I would lean Purdue. But yeah, it's a few too many points. I think
Yeah,
maybe
and
Purdue in a money line parlay if you can find another team you really like. But
yeah, that's kind of another thing I'm struggling to find is the realignment is kind of screwing with like the spots we look at too. Um, you know, I feel like it always used to be, coming off a loss, it's usually always a bounce back spot for a good team. We've seen Michigan State struggle with that. We've seen other teams struggle with that. And I think it's just because, I mean, obviously, when you're playing multiple ranked teams in a row, it's tough. But I just think there's a lot of travel and it's just all about spots now. And I don't know. It's becoming harder to handicap, in my opinion, just with these bigger conferences and
yeah,
the spots are. You got to look at the spots a little differently here. But yeah, I if I had to bet, I'd take Purdue. I think Purdue probably wins that game outright. I agree with you. I'm not super sold on Wisconsin. But yeah, too many games on the slate for me to take Purdue just because they're at home and off a
Right.
loss. I think that's good enough reason for me. Another game that's, I believe, also at this 1 p.m. slate, again, Eastern time, is it's not 1 p.m. Sorry, 2 p.m. There's a 1 p.m. game, Vandy, Tennessee. I don't have a bet on that. Probably won't have a bet on that.
I do lean Tennessee on that.
Okay.
Um, Again, not going to bet because it seems like so many points, but I think that's exactly why they're the side. I mean, it just seems ridiculous. It's a revenge spot. Vandy just beat Tennessee back on the 18th of January by a single point. Tennessee off the tough loss to Kentucky, so a bounce back spot for them with the revenge. A&M on deck, which is a team they haven't played, and yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's going to be a look ahead since they are off that loss. They're back home now with a chance to win. Yeah, just a lean. It's a lot of points, but I could see them winning that game by like 20.
Yeah. Ken Palmer has them 76-62, so 14.
Okay.
A lot of points. Yeah, I could get convinced on that one, I guess. I'm not super sold on Vandy. I know they have a couple decent wins. I know they're 17-7, but
They're
just
led
not.
by AJ Hogard, so they're not going to go anywhere.
Speaking of not going anywhere in the tournament, the 2 p.m. game, or in the tournament as of late or in their history, we have Houston and Arizona. Two teams that are notorious for falling short of their pre-tournament expectations. Really interesting game here. Houston is still the 1.5 point favorite on the road here. Arizona is back in the talks. We do have a comment here from Noel the Hater. He has Michigan State on the spread. Sparty
My
tonight
man.
at Illinois. I don't hate
My
it.
man. My
I,
man.
I don't hate it. I don't know if I'm going to get in the way of Illinois. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be a tough game to win. Michigan State also wins on the road. I feel like more times than other teams do. But yeah, what's your thought on Michigan State, Illinois?
Um, God, I hope you're right. I hope they went out right, but I don't know. It feels like they kind of stole one at home. I know Illinois fans have yet to let that go. I don't know if Illinois, the team, has yet to let that one go, but it does make me nervous. Um, Purdue on deck. I just feel like that is. I feel like Purdue has been the monkey on Michigan State's back recently. Like they just have not been able to get over that hump. And again, maybe that's just my vision. Maybe that's not at all how the team feels. Um, it makes me nervous, but it does seem like a lot of points. I think it's probably a closer game, but after what I saw against IU on Tuesday, I'm pretty scarred. So I'll be watching. I'll be rooting for Michigan State heavily, obviously, but yeah, I don't know. It's a tough game to navigate for me.
Yeah, I can see them keeping it close. Kempom has it at 80-76 in favor of Illinois. Maybe an over game. Maybe an over game. Illinois obviously fast, high paced, high scoring. Michigan State obviously fast, probably the fastest team in the country in regards to rebound to basket. Yeah, I could get involved on the over under there. I usually don't like taking totals in college basketball, but if you don't know and you want someone to bet, I usually just go straight to the over on something, which isn't the greatest idea. But yeah, I think Michigan State probably keeps that game close, which then would lead me to the over. So I might get involved in the over. I'll keep you updated on that. Going back to ranked game here. Um, and again, very interesting ranked game. We have number 6 Houston at number 13 Arizona. Houston is the favorite here, a 1.5 point favorite as of right now. Like I said, Arizona's back. They started the season off poorly. They were below 500, I believe, like 8 or 9 games in. Have since climbed back into the rankings, climbed back into the win columns. They are off a loss at Kansas State, the 3 point loss against Kansas State. But before that, they beat um, Iowa State. They beat Texas Tech. They have a couple good wins in here. Texas Tech 12 or no, just once. Baylor they beat. West Virginia when they were ranked. Cincinnati when they were ranked. So they have a couple big ranked wins here. I have no idea what to do with this game. I want to take Houston, but I'm seeing the money's on Arizona. I'm seeing people that I follow are on Arizona. really want to be involved on this game, but I'm not confident enough to pick a side. So it might just be a game that I just tune in to try to learn a little bit more about either of these teams. More importantly, more about Arizona. Um, we know what Houston is. Houston hasn't changed in the last 7 years, so we know what we're getting out of them. But I don't know. I'm not super sold on Arizona still. I know they're a really good team. I just think Houston's better, so I lean Houston, but I most likely won't have a bet on this game.
Yeah, I don't think I will either. Yeah, top two teams in the Big 12 here. Arizona obviously second behind Houston off that loss. K State's hot right now. K State,
Yeah.
I think they're 13 and 11, but God, are they hot? Which we'll talk about them, I think, here a little bit later. You said it. Houston hasn't changed in 7 years. I'd look at the under. I think in a game between the top two teams in the conference, it's going to be a dogfight for Houston to try to stay on top, for Arizona to try to get on top. I can see this game barely going over 100. I could see like a 57-49 type game out of this. So it's not something I'll bet. I don't really bet totals. I bet one total this year, or it was Indiana team total under first half against Michigan State, and they got it by the hook. It went over. So that was fun. That's the extent of my totals. But yeah, I would look for the under, maybe even the first half under in that. But I
I
do really I almost look forward to that more than Auburn Bama. I think that's gonna
yeah.
be a good game.
I I don't know what it is about February 15th, Valentine's Day weekend, but it must be rivalry week for whatever reason. We also have Virginia Tech. Like I said, we have the Iron Bowl coming up, Auburn, Alabama. We have Michigan, Ohio State tomorrow, Army, Navy. It just might be that time of the year where it's just everyone's getting the first round of the rivals. We had Duke, North Carolina last week, so they're a week early. But yeah, I'm just looking through the board. We got a lot of rivalry games here. Speaking of Virginia Tech, two terrible teams, but they always split. Virginia Tech beat Virginia at Virginia. Now it's at Virginia Tech. I lean Virginia outright. They're a plus 2.5 point, or they're a 2.5 point dog. They always split. It's like Michigan State. More times than not, they just split. Whether it's winning on the road, then the next game they lose at home. Yeah, so I would lean Virginia in that rivalry game, but it's not a good enough game for us to talk about here.
I actually
We lose you. We lost Ethan. He'll be back in a sec. I mean, interested what he has to say because I hope he says Virginia because if he says Virginia, I'll be right there. Might have to bring him back in here quickly. Turn this off real quick. We'll be right back, or I'll still be here, but Ethan will be right back, hopefully. Froze mid-sentence there. Yeah, let me get you in here. No problem. Okay, he is back.
All right. Sorry about that.
I'm interested in what you had to say.
Yeah. Well, the picture it froze on of you was terrifying. I could have been in a horror movie.
Jesus
It's like you were just starting to like look up. I could just see the white of your eyes. It was
oh, good God.
kind of crazy. Yeah, so I actually like Virginia Tech. It is one of my Virginia, sorry. It is one of my stronger leans. Like you said, it is they're off the loss. It's their most recent loss. They just played on the 1st of this month. Like you said, they seem to always split, and then I like when the rivalry team loses at home and then gets to go on the road and play again. Just a little bit of added effort. I think we mentioned this on Monday, where the home team now says, "Oh, we already beat them on the road, but now we get them at home." So, yeah, I like Virginia, but like you said, they're two really bad teams. So I don't know if I can quite get myself onto Virginia today, but I do like them.
Right before you cut off, and probably why I was looking up with in that crazy look in my eyes, because I was like, I hope you say Virginia, because if you say Virginia, I'll probably be betting it. So looks like I got to stay true to my word. So I'll probably be adding Virginia here.
Yeah.
I'll take the points.
I do. There is one other ACC matchup I just want to quick touch on because it's just a crazy spot. So NC State is laying 8.5 points at home NC State hasn't won a game since the 8th of January. That's their only win in this calendar year. Playing
God, talk
Boston
about
College.
why did we not fade them at the beginning after their run last year?
Dude, I know. I know. Then you look at Boston College. Their last 5 games are just insane. They had an overtime loss to North Carolina. They had a win against Florida State, which, if you remember, was that crazy inbounds play, like 5 points in 4 seconds that they got to win by 1. Blown out against Louisville, triple OT loss to Syracuse, double OT loss to Notre Dame. So 3 of their last 5 have gone to OT. A fourth one was a buzzer beater, lucky win. I don't know. You just wonder what they have left in the tank after 2 straight overtime games, Saturday and Wednesday. And then it's just the fishiest line on the board. I mean, NC State is complete dog shit. They are, well, almost last in the ACC next to Miami, but I don't know if I can get there. That is a weird line.
They have played an extra game and a half in the last 15 days in overtimes. That is 6 overtimes
Yeah.
since the 25th of January. Oh, God. That's brutal. I don't think I've ever seen a stretch like that.
Dude, speaking of things I've never seen, we'll get up to something later, but another thing I've never seen.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna get there on NC State, but there's definitely not much. Maybe the under. There's not much left in the tank there for BC. I would have to assume.
Yeah. Maybe look for a wager at halftime.
Yeah.
It's
I don't know. I don't know.
yeah.
Speaking of, oh, we haven't got to it yet, but I've recently logged into my Bet Rivers account, which I found out that I had money in. So I logged in. Can't withdraw it. That's done. It's they keep asking for all this information. I give it to them. They don't even look at it. Anyways, the odds at Bet Rivers are crazy. For example, the Alabama Auburn game to go to overtime is usually like the overtime bets are like usually plus 800 to plus 1,000. It was plus 1,900 on Bet Rivers. So of course I threw $5 on it. You gotta. So if that hits, I don't know. I guess I'll just keep losing the money. I've sent my ID there like 4 times. I've sent my bank information there like 5. They read it and they don't even respond to me. So my money's just locked in my Bet Rivers account. So yeah, it'll probably win. I'll just keep doubling down until it eventually runs dry there. But crazy odds there.
Yeah, Bet Rivers a shitty book, but their odds are fantastic. Like that on the long shots. I do a ton of the NASCAR betting on Bet Rivers because of stuff like that. Golf is probably decent as well. Just anything where you're looking for long odds. Yeah, it's not bad.
They let you deposit without even questions. So I have deposited recently knowing I can't get the money out. So that just shows you what kind of state I am. And I guess I just kind of hope something will change there with the customer service. But yeah, they have yet to get back to me. So
Hilarious.
Yeah,
I do have 2 quick things while we're still on the 2:00 slate.
Yep.
First of all, a question for you going back to Houston, Arizona. Would that be a game you would look to do the either team by 1-5?
Probably not, because I could see Houston losing by 20 points or Arizona winning by 20 points. I think it's going to be a blowout, but I can't tell who's going to win.
Okay.
So it's a game I'm more interested in the 1-5 in that Bama game, and possibly that Mississippi State game.
Okay.
But with that being said, it means Houston's probably going to be the game that goes to triple overtime.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like that game's not going to be close. I just don't know who's gonna be up. So
yeah,
it might be close. I
don't know. And then lastly, I do have a lean Big East Butler minus 3.5 against Georgetown. Georgetown beat Butler back on the 31st of January. Providence on deck, a team that they lost to on the road 2 games before that Butler game. And then Butler is off a win against Providence and Seton Hall. So 2 games to kind of get them feeling good about themselves. Xavier on deck, a team that they have not played yet this season. Yeah, really that's exactly what I look for. The only thing that could make that better is if they had already played Xavier and beat them. That would just make a perfect scheduling spot. But I think Butler is probably a pretty good play. They're also, we look for the the weird records and the odds. 11-13 Butler, laying 3.5 against 15-9 Georgetown. So it's up there with one of my favorite leans.
Yeah, I got a list here on my sheet of paper of all the good games, and I have a list on the right of that sheet of paper of all my leans on shit games. And Butler -3.5 has made my list there, as well as Virginia, as well as St. Joe's, UMass, Richmond, and Providence, which a lot of those we haven't talked about because they're, like I said, shit games. But yeah, Butler did make my list there as a potential ugly one if you do want to get involved on that. So yeah, I don't hate it. I mean, again, I don't love messing anything under like a 5-point spread now in college basketball. I just straight money line it. It's pretty ugly. Like, I don't know what Butler money line is. It's probably not -175 on ESPN. I honestly would just take that.
Put that with Purdue.
Yeah.
I might
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah. I don't hate Butler at all there. Beautiful. Two. That's kind of it for two. Again, a lot of games today. We can't cover them all. I really need to start diving into group of five teams, but it's just not fun, and I don't really feel like doing that, especially on a day with this many ranked games. So, I'm apologies to the Duquesne Dayton games out there or fans out there, and the Gardner Webb SC Upstate. I promise you, he will get to you, but probably during the week, not on a Saturday. Moving on to I'm at like 3:30 now. An SEC matchup again. If there's any games in between, feel free to cut me off here. Missouri, Georgia. Missouri is number 21. Georgia unranked. Missouri is -2.5 on the road. Kind of like Georgia in that game, but it's not going to be enough for me to bet them. But I think Georgia has a really good shot of winning that game outright. Not super sold on Missouri. Don't really know why they're ranked. Georgia's lost two straight. I don't know. I lean Georgia. I wrote it down, but I'm not going to bet that. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I lean Georgia. It's as far as our little system goes, it's like the one that sticks out the most. But there's just no reason for me to fade Missouri right now. There's really no reason for me to play on Georgia. So
Yeah.
that is a pass. I do have one just quick, just another weird spot at the 3 o'clock.
Yep.
Very similar to NC State, but you don't have to lay that many points. Colorado favored against UCF. Colorado has not won a game since the 21st of December. That goes back before Christmas against Bellarmine. And then this is just the weirdest scheduling spot to me because if you look on deck, they have Iowa State. Not only is it revenge, it's double revenge because they've played Iowa State twice this year. They were playing
Colorado?
yes, they're playing for a third time, which I've never seen before. That was the thing I was going to get to that I've never seen. And it's because they played for the 5th place game in Maui, in the Maui Invitational. And then once in conference play and now a second time in conference play. So I thought that was interesting. I've never seen a team play 3 times in the regular season in college basketball. But that's happening. Colorado and Iowa State. And yeah, it's just a super weird line that Colorado would be favored. They already lost to UCF as well, so it is a revenge spot.
Correct me if I'm wrong. This 0-13 in the Big 12, Colorado also beat number 2 UConn in that Maui Invitational. Nice one,
And then
UConn.
Sparty beat them, and I thought it was a good win.
Oh, that's a shot at Dan Hurley for quitting his Maui trips now. Yeah, I have seen multiple people on Colorado, so I will probably write that down. That's ugly. As ugly as it gets. 13 straight losses for the Buffaloes. Also, though, UCF has lost 5 straight, so they're not good either. Wow. Okay. Kind of like Colorado on Tuesday against Iowa State. Moving forward, the 4 p.m. slate is really where the magic happens here. The Iron Bowl, if that's what you want to call it. This is Auburn, Alabama, the rivalry game, number 1 versus number 2. I don't think they've ever met as 1 versus number 2. It's at Alabama. Alabama is a 1.5 point favorite. Over under. It's not the highest I've seen, but it's up there. 172.5. I'm gonna be straight up honest with you. I took Bama money line, and I don't really like it, but I think this Bama team is better than we've seen. I think this in years of past. Auburn is obviously a very good team. I think Bama wins it at home. I think they'll lose on the road to. Do they play Auburn? Yeah, they play Auburn at Auburn in the final game of the regular season. So, Jesus, look at their March schedule.
I know. Dude, remember their beginning of the year schedule? They're out of conference.
I don't.
Purdue, Illinois, Houston, Rutgers, Oregon, North Carolina, Creighton, all in a row.
Yeah, this team's also still 21-3, but their March is against at number 5 Tennessee versus number 3 Florida, at number 1 Auburn. I mean, they don't have. These are their next games. Obviously, today against number 1 Auburn, number 21 Missouri, number 15 Kentucky, number 22 Mississippi State, number 5 Tennessee, number 3 Florida, number 1 Auburn. Obviously, that's the SEC. It's what happens when you have 15 teams in the top 25, but that is a goddamn gauntlet. And yet, this team's still 21-3. Auburn's had a pretty tough schedule as well, but not even close to Alabama. So I just think Bama's more battle tested. If Bama loses this game, we take Bama at the final game of the regular season against Auburn. These teams are going to split, but I think Bama's going to win this game at home. So I did place that bet straight up money line. I think I got a minus 120. Too good of an opportunity for Bama to not win this game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. That's my lean, and I probably will bet Bama as well. I also like Bama to win the Natty. I really do. I think they've been close a few times. They're obviously way battle tested through their regular season. They're going to have a high seed regardless of how the last few games go here. We've talked about many times if they are getting out and running and hitting their shots, they're extremely tough to keep up with. So I like that. And then, if you're not like fully suicidal, you're just like a little bit, you just kind of want to like take 5 years off your life. Bet the under in this game. Have fun.
When it's 17-18 after the first under 4 or under 16 timeout.
Yeah.
That'll really test your mental toughness.
It will. I actually think it hits. I think the under hits, but I like my life a little bit too much to toy with that. So
KenPom has this one 88-86 Auburn. But that is 100 and what is that? 174.
74, just over.
Yeah. I'm not gonna get in the way of that under, but it might hit. A game that I don't really like, and I don't really know why I bet it. Simply saw money on it, saw everyone betting this team. I took Cincy at the plus 12 against Iowa State. Not really sure why. Again, simply because I saw everyone on it. So that's my my second bet, actual bet that I've played so far is Cincy plus 12 at number 10 Iowa State. Cincy's won 3 straight. Iowa State's won 2 straight. Cincy has West Virginia on deck. Iowa State has
Colorado for
the third time.
This point, I don't know. Wrestling their little brother in the living room.
I have no idea what the reasoning behind Cincy is other than that I saw people on it. So that's the reason I took it. It's a terrible reasoning. I know if I don't take it, it's going to hit. If I take it, it's probably going to be sweat and miss. So I ended up laying it 12 plus 12 with Cincy. Don't know why, but that's my second bet of the day.
Yeah, no opinion for me on that.
Okay, probably smart there. Duke Stanford, not going to get involved with.
No.
Stanford in the ACC.
Yep.
Oh, that's gross. This brings me to I'm passing a couple Mountain West games. If you want to talk about those, let me know.
Nope, not today.
Minnesota USC, I don't care about. I believe this brings me to 6 o'clock. Do you have anything in between there?
Nope.
Okay, 6 o'clock we have, I forget what this rivalry is called in football. No idea. Mississippi State at Ole Miss. Number 22 Mississippi State. Number 19 Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a 4.5 point favorite. Over under 146.5. Who won this first? I think
Mississippi State. Yeah, in overtime.
Mississippi State won at home in OT. I mean, it's going to be Ole Miss. I don't know if I'm going to get there with the points. I honestly hate both these teams. I can't stand them. Mississippi State is so bad. I don't know. They're so bad. They were close against Florida. Got outscored 24-0 to start that second half. Yeah, they were up by one at the end of halftime against Florida. Ultimately lost that game by 13, but they were down outscored 24-0 to start that second half. I was on that game. Either team to win by 1-5. Thought I was good until that start. I don't know. Mississippi State's very bad, and maybe I'm just being biased because I've watched like 3 games of them, and unfortunately, I've lost bets in all 3 times that I've watched. This team sucks. They have their little point guards, their only player. They are so poorly coached. It's not even funny. Ole Miss, I don't really like, but I think they're just a better team. So, yeah, I mean, with Mississippi State winning that first game, it's got to be Ole Miss. So that's probably gonna. If you want Ole Miss, put them money line into a parlay and call it good. I don't. I'm probably not gonna lay the points, but Ole Miss is gonna win that game.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Purdue out of that money line parlay, and I think I might replace it with Ole Miss. Ole Miss Butler money line
Yep.
parlay. I like it. I think they win. I don't know if they cover. Yeah, they've kind of struggled. They have 2 decent ranked wins. They beat Bama on the road, which is a good one there, and then just recently beat Kentucky as well. But other than that, they've dropped a lot of their ranked games: Auburn, Missouri, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, um, Purdue early in the year. So just kind of feel like to build that resume, this is a big one that they can get. They have Vandy on deck, unranked for the moment, um, before Auburn. So yeah, I think Ole Miss ends up winning. Yeah, I would moneyline parlay if you want to pick Purdue, if you want to pick Butler, if you want to pick somebody else that you feel confident in. I think Ole Miss finds a way to get that one done.
Yeah, I like it. I don't have a whole lot. Like I said, I have this Big East game. I have Providence. I lean Providence at the +2.5 against Villanova after Villanova's massive win against St. John's. Providence is at home there. They're not very good, but it's more of a fade off of Nova. And then the last 2 games, Michigan State, we kind of touched on against Illinois, and then Kentucky, Texas. I do have a bet in that Kentucky, Texas. Do you have anything in between there or want to touch on before we get to those?
I will quick say, just got to be paying for Oklahoma fans. It's 2 years in a row that, I know last year we called them missing the tournament when they were, I believe, ranked at the time, and they might damn well do it again this year. They were, what, 12-0 at one point,
Yeah.
or maybe even no, 13-0. They've lost 8 of their last 11, so dumpster fire for them. They're all the way down to 14th in the SEC. And then just a quick thing I'll touch on that Michigan State game, just because I was looking at the total when you were mentioning the over. Um, the first matchup, the total was 158.5. It landed 158, so it did go just under by the hook. Same exact total today, 158.5. So just that's kind of interesting that it's the same total for 2 games, weeks apart. But yeah, typically if the first one goes under, I do look for the over in the next one, or vice versa. Not that it was a stone cold under by any means, but it did stay under. But yeah, I kind of have a lean in that Providence game as well. You said you lean Providence.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I do too. Um, yeah. Other than that, where were we? The Kentucky, Texas.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, you
Yep.
can go for that.
Yeah. I'm taking Texas straight up money line here. I think I got a -150 or -155. Again, I don't really take spreads when they're that close. I don't have to keep repeating myself, but I've lost numerous games by the hook this year in college basketball. So I just take money lines if they're usually under 4.5. But I am taking Texas here at home against number 15 Kentucky. Where did the game go? Again, a lot of people I've seen are on Texas. I've seen a lot of money on Texas. And Kentucky, big win against Tennessee. Have they played Texas this year? Texas off a lot. 3 straight losses, 4 of the last 5. They just lost to Bama big by 23 points. I don't think they played Tennessee. They did.
They've
They lost by
not.
4 at home. Wait,
Oh, against Tennessee.
sorry, that's Tennessee. They're playing Kentucky.
Yeah, have
Yeah,
not played Kentucky.
I mean, I'm not. Kentucky's good. I still think they're very inconsistent. Texas also has their one win. I forget what win it was. We were on them, or I was on them, and you lost by the hook. I think. I think it was against A&M. Texas came all the way back. I had the money line. You had a -1.5. They ended up winning that
Yeah,
game by 1.
I
Um,
pushed.
you push -1. I don't know. Texas is they piss me off, but I do think they're the right side in this game. So I did take a money line against number 15 Tex or Kentucky. I don't love it by any means. I don't trust Texas, but I gotta bet it just based off the money, the system, and the people that I follow around Texas. I gotta take it.
Well, I'll promise you they're the right side because I'm not betting them. Um, but yeah, the spot's terrible for Kentucky, like you said, off the win, and then they have Vandy on deck, who they lost to earlier in the season. Two reasons why I can't bet Texas. I was just on Tennessee against Kentucky. I faded Kentucky a few times, and when there's 6 minutes left in the game and it's close, that Kobe Brea, that 3-point specialist, just comes out of nowhere, and that kid's just incredible. Um, Hit way too many threes against me this year for my liking. And then we look at Texas. You mentioned a game I'd forgotten, but for some reason I laid a point instead of taking a money line. Um, Pushed. I had a money line parlay when Texas played Arkansas. They're like a 7.5 point favorite. Lost outright. Was on Texas on Tuesday against Bama. Blown out. So my read on Texas is horrible. I can't bet them again and face potentially losing on them again because Kobe Brea is hitting all those threes. So
Yeah.
I'll stay off, which makes it probably a pretty good play.
Okay, Texas is a no sweat outright winner there. I got nothing else tonight. There are a couple decent games. Yeah, another rivalry game, Princeton Yale. That's not really, but I don't know what it is about today in college basketball, but a lot of rivalry games. South Carolina, Florida. I'm not going to get involved in. Kansas State, BYU. Is that one you wanted to talk about?
Not really. Just a weird spread, BYU -7 against probably the hottest team in basketball. K State 6 straight wins, 4 of which were ranked. One was on the road against Iowa State. One was rivalry against Kansas. So the spread is pretty telling. So typically that'd put me on BYU, but I just wonder if maybe markets aren't catching up to K State yet. So I'm not going to bet it, but
Okay.
interesting line there.
Yeah,
I don't have much.
Kansas, Utah. Not going to touch. Pretty big Mountain West game. Boise State, San Diego State. Probably not going to
Mm-hmm.
touch. St. Mary's, Washington State, but St. Mary's is 14.5 point favorite. And then to tuck me in, if everything else is dead, take Hawaii to cover at midnight. So yeah, that's it for college basketball. Again, if you do have any questions, let us know. My 3 bets so far: Bama money line, Texas money line, Cincy +12. I probably will be adding Colorado, Butler, Virginia. Yeah, that'll probably be it for me.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have Bama money line, and I think I'm gonna do a money line parlay of Butler and probably Ole Miss, potentially Purdue.
Or Ole
Not
Miss.
all three, just two of those three. Um, Maybe Purdue, Ole Miss. I don't know. I'll figure that out. I'll tweet it out. Whichever one I choose is gonna be wrong.
Yep.
The one I leave off is probably gonna win. Yeah, I'm taking it really slow right now in college hoops, so I
Yeah.
probably won't unload much today.
I like it. Let's quickly get into the Four Nations. Again, I will post my plays. I don't have anything at the noon game. I'm opting out to stay off of Arkansas and Florida State, which again means Arkansas is going to cover. Florida State's going to win outright. But yeah, so nothing for me. But I will be tweeting out my college basketball plays. Four Nations quickly. Let's get into that. 2 games today. The more important of the games is more entertaining of the games is tonight at 8 p.m. That is USA and Canada. But the first game, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, Finland against Sweden. Again, this is replacing the NHL All-Star break. It's a tune-up for the Olympics in 2026. So that's the reason the NHL is doing this. Honestly, it's great. The first 2 games, like Ethan mentioned at the beginning, have been pretty good. The USA went absolutely nuclear in the third on Thursday night, which destroyed my under. But it did win the spread there. Do you have? You said you liked some in these 2 games. Do you have anything on Finland, Sweden? Sweden is a -225 money line against Finland, who is obviously the weakest of the 4 nations in this tournament.
Yeah, I like the under in this game. It's 5.5, which is very tough to bet, but I actually already locked it in -110, 5.5 under. We saw Sweden put up a pretty solid effort against Canada. They ended up losing that game 4-3. I believe it was overtime.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Um, but they fought back. They were down 2-0 early. I think they tied it back 2-2, went down 3-2, tied it up 3-3. Really good effort. That game went over. Like you said, USA went nuclear in the third and late in the second, I think, against Finland. That game goes over, but it was all because of the USA scoring. So now I think after those two games went over, both lost, I think there's going to be more emphasis on defense, especially for Finland. I think they're going to try to really shut this game down, keep it nice and tight, try to keep it close. So, yeah, I like the under in this game. You don't have quite the players that the U.S. and Canada have offensively on these two teams. Goaltending is actually decent. I'd say both these teams' goaltending is better than Canada. I think you have UC Saros in net for Finland. I'm actually not sure who's starting for Sweden today. Yeah, I kind of like the under. I kind of like the first half under. I think it's 0-0 after one. And I could honestly see this game finishing like 2-1 Sweden. So I'm already on the under. I'll probably also play the first period under.
I like it. I will join you on that under. Like I said, the first two games we had a 4-3 Canada OT win and then a 6-1 USA win.
6-1.
So
Yep.
the first two games of Four Nations had 7 points, and now we're getting a 5.5. Which I'll be on that with you. I like that. Finland, Sweden under 5.5 goals. Four Nations at 1 p.m. Eastern time. This brings us to our big boy game. USA, Canada. Remember, this is just the round robin, so a loss here isn't detrimental to either team. But this is played in Montreal, I believe. Um, yeah, the second half is played in Boston. So this is that'll be the final game in Canada. The second half for the round robin or Four Nations will be played in United States. So obviously the game everyone's wanting to talk about. Also with the little turmoil in countries right now and Trump and everything and booing during the national anthem, booing during the Canada, whatever you want to call that anthem. So it's going to be a great game. A lot of tension. Kachuk came out, I think, pregame or post game of against Finland. I guess he has some ties to Canada, and he asked if he would ever play for that team, and he said absolutely not, and kind of shit on him the whole time. So there's some bad blood here, and obviously one of the U.S.'s best players, Austin Matthews, is on the Leafs. So he's got some. He got booed every time he had the puck on Thursday night. So it's going to be a great game. Obviously, the over is going to be highly bet, set 6.5, but probably rightfully so. A lot of offense. I mean, Canada's freaking lineup is disgusting. Their first play, their first goal of the Four Nations was a McDavid Crosby to McKinnon, and that should be illegal having that in the same sentence and that on the score sheet. So I don't know. You can't, as an American, you can't bet Canada. It's probably the right side, but I'll probably just throw some money away and take USA. Kind of lean the under just because it's 2 very high scoring games. I think the nerves might be there a little bit, but I don't want to bet that. So I'll probably take USA. I'll probably take I don't know, the Kachuk brothers that just took over the USA team on Thursday. So maybe it's time for Austin to get involved. Maybe Austin Matthews' goal. But I'll probably throw money away and take United States outright.
Yeah, I'm probably with you. Yeah, I mean, you can't bet Canada as an American. You gotta sprinkle the U.S., but I do think the U.S. wins this game. You mentioned, it's just a round robin play right now. It's not life or death for either of these teams. But the play I've already locked in is that under 6.5 minus 120. Again, you mentioned it. Everyone's going to be on the over. Why not? All the biggest names in hockey. You just mentioned that Canada line of Crosby, McKinnon and McDavid. Well, the power play line of them, but yeah, I mean, I think everyone's just gonna run to the window to back that over. They're gonna want to see a 5-4 game. But I think it is lower scoring. I think like a 3-1 USA win is kind of where I'm looking at this game. The thing that does make me nervous, did you hear the stat about Crosby in his when he is the captain, I believe, for Team Canada? I believe he's 26-0, has not lost. So,
Yikes.
yeah, I think that's gonna end, but it will end tonight. I don't know.
I'd be okay with a loss tonight if it means we get a win in the championship. which
Right.
is going to be these two teams unless USA completely collapses. So
Right.
I can't see a double win.
Right.
So maybe we take the loss tonight. I'll take the under with you. Sure, 6.5.
Yeah. I like both unders. Both games went over the first time around. I think it was a little more free flowing. You get that first game, it's just kind of fun, and now it's maybe a little bit more down to business. Plus, Sweden, Canada, and Finland versus U.S. There's no like these are the two rivalry games that we're
Yeah.
looking at now. Finland is more of the rival with Sweden, USA with Canada. So I think it means more to each team for this matchup on a Saturday as well. More eyes on them. So yeah, I really like the under in both games.
Yeah. I like it. Do you want to talk anything else? I know NBA, like I said, NBA has their stupid little contests tonight. Dunk contest, 3-point contest, skills contest. I don't have any bets on those. Haven't looked at them yet, but we can talk about them if you want. If not, we can sign off here. We do have games starting, like I said, in 14 minutes for college basketball.
Yeah, I was gonna just mention, but I mean, it would just be taking a complete guess. I would maybe fade Mac McClung in the dunk contest. I don't think he wins 3 years in a row, so you're probably getting decent value on the other three guys. As far as who's gonna win it, I don't have a clue. I've actually, to my knowledge, never watched a dunk contest in my entire life.
Really? I was big
Oh,
into it when I was like 8.
really? Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't believe I've
Dwight
ever
Howard,
watched one.
Blake Griffin.
Yeah, I remember watching like the
What was the
highlights.
little
Like,
guy? Nate Robinson.
yeah, I remember the guy like blowing out the candle. I forgot who it was.
Levine versus the Nuggets guy was good. Or I guess he was on the Magic at that time. Gordon.
Oh,
That was a good one. It's probably the best one.
yeah, I've never gotten into the All
You're not
Star.
missing much.
No, I like the All Star game. I don't love the, but I probably will watch it tonight. I do just quick want to mention one NASCAR driver for that race tomorrow. Um, no, it's a complete shit show. Daytona 500. For those that don't know, it's just literally it's pretty random. I wouldn't be unloading too much on it, but you can get a guy by the name of Ryan Preece. I locked him in this morning at plus 4,500. Um, he's not a big name whatsoever, but usually you find lower name guys who win this race because there's so many wrecks. It's basically just who stays clean and who is in position by the end to make a run at it. He was the third fastest qualifying in the tune-up races. He had one of the fastest cars. He made a bad move, ended up finishing 13th. But he's just a lower level name who's in a really fast car who I think has a good shot of keeping it clean and at least giving you a chance to win. And at plus 4,500, I think it's worth a sprinkle there. So that is one play I've already locked in for that. I'll probably pepper the board on a few more, but
If
I like
you
the
want
odds
NASCAR, Ethan's your guy. So again, sports are pretty dry right now. So
on
the Daytona 500 tomorrow. I know you'll have some tweets out. I've yet to
that.
ever bet it. I always say
1:30.
I'm gonna do it. 1:30.
1:30 tomorrow.
How long does that last? 500 miles? What do they go? 200 miles per hour? 180?
Yeah, I mean, so that could last. Tell you what, you should probably flip it on about 3 or 3:30. And that's the final laps. I mean, it gets freaking crazy. I tell you,
Maybe
if you just sprinkle a couple bucks, I mean, I'm talking like 3, 4, $5 on a couple guys, you'll be hooked.
makes it okay. Quickly before we leave, Noel in the comments, Cam Johnson plus 700 is a sneaky sprinkle for the 3-point contest.
Don't hate it.
Don't hate it. I mean, Dame, Hero, Buddy Heel, they're at the top. Kate Cunningham's in it. Ooh, he's not really a 3-point shooter, but yeah, I mean, I'm all for. I'm seeing plus 900 on DraftKings. So
Really?
yeah, I mean, I could be convinced. Please don't twist my arm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add before we sign off here? Again, I'll post most of my plays today. Probably not my miscellaneous NBA plays, but I'll post my hockey and college basketball here shortly on Twitter. Do you have anything to add before we close out for the day?
I guess my last question for you. I have been pretty involved in this Genesis PGA event. Did you live bet anything leading up to today?
No, I've actually had decent success live betting or round betting, but nothing today for me. Both 2 days I would have been undefeated if they could just make 4-foot putts on the 18th. But yeah, I don't have anything. I think this is Scotty's tournament to win it. I think he's finally making putts, but he's plus 100 to win it right now, so that's trash. Rory was on fire yesterday, so he's back in the mix. I think he's at plus 300 on DraftKings. Um, yeah, I would say if Scotty gets up to plus 300, take Scotty live. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's not worth taking Scotty at the moment. I don't have any round props. I'll probably just have it on in the background. But yeah, need Sky to get a win. I would love for Sky to finally get a win this year, get him back on track. But like I said, his putter's been cold, and it looks like his driver has sucked this whole tournament.
Hmm.
So if he figures out the drive, he is really getting his approach shot good, and his putting's going down. So if he gets his drive, he could go nuclear one of these days. But yeah,
Yeah.
no bets for me. I'll just be watching. Go Scotty. Go
Yeah.
Scott.
Yeah, Scott. Yeah, I'll probably look to maybe live bet Scheffler, Rory, or Oberg potentially. Um, Need my boy Hideki to not hit any birdies. Looks like he already hit one today. So yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, what a day of sports. Hopefully you guys can win some money. Thank you guys for watching, commenting, and good luck moving forward. We will be probably live on. We have to see the upcoming sports again. It's a slow day in sports, so we might be live on Sunday or Saturday. Sorry, Monday. Today is Saturday. But we'll keep you guys posted. We will have some more college basketball videos out there. I know Ben and Bobby still do their MMA, UFC, NHL. As soon as this Four Nations is over, we might get back involved in that one as well. So stay tuned to Better in Green as we move forward life past NFL and college football.